Hey guys, it's me, AlanaRaihnTV, and welcome back to my channel. All right guys, this is gonna be part 10 of how I went to prison for the first time out of the country. Oh my gosh. So welcome to part 10 guys, let's get straight into it. Guys, I can't believe we finally made it to part 10. I know I did say that this was gonna be a 10-part series, but guys, if you can already tell, it's gonna be longer than a 10-part series. Woo! So this is probably gonna be a 20+ part series. I don't know. It's gonna be until I'm finished. So I'm glad you guys are enjoying the story times. I hope you guys continue to enjoy them. And yeah, let's get into it, y'all. All right, guys, so let's take it back to my first night when I moved into the new wing. How I said I got into the room, guys, and it was so hot. You guys, the room was so hot that I ended up having to sleep in my undergarments. And I never would have slept before, obviously, since I got here. I wouldn't have slept in my undergarments because the security officers, they come by and they check. Like, I'm not trying to be in my undergarments, but y'all, it was so hot. I had no choice. So that night, I was sweating, unpacking all of my stuff, setting up my room to how I want it. And I'm gonna insert a diagram right here that I took my sweetheart time on making, y'all. So I am dropping this video a couple days late. So please appreciate that detail. I cannot believe it, but I was able to work with AI for about an hour or so to create an exact replica of what my cell looked like. You guys, I'm talking about everything that you're about to see in this image that I'm about to insert. Everything is the exact same color. Everything's in the exact same place. This is exactly what my cell looks like. You guys see the bedding. You see how I had my toilet covered up, how colorful the room was, and just how it really looked like a dorm. And I do want to show you guys kind of what I'd say my window view was, because I had a window view outside of like this horse ranch, guys, and this was on the second floor, like I said. So I had a nice view of the city, and yeah, really great view, honestly. So I do want to explain a few things about the image, and I'm gonna get into it on my iPad because, as you guys can see, the cell door is on the floor. And obviously the door and the safe was not on the floor. It was on the entrance wall doorway. So the safe and the door would be the fourth wall. So let me turn up my brightness. Okay, guys. So the room's length cut off right here at the end of this TV cubby desk. And the cubby and the TV was obviously flipped around, face towards my bed. So this is exactly what the TV and the cubby drawer desk looked like, except for it was just flipped towards my bed. And the room ended right at the end of this cubby shelf where my TV sat. That's where the room ended. But this is exactly what the door and wall looked like when you would walk into the cell. So when you would walk into the cell, my safe that was on the wall was right next to my the entrance door, and it looked exactly like this. So the door looked exactly like this, and the safe looked exactly like this. And also the room walls, exact same color. This is the makeshift fabric curtain that I was talking about that I used to cover my toilet. Because look how close it is to my bed, you guys. But as I was showing my family this and my friends, because I finally was able to give them an idea what my cell looked like, they were like, this looks like a dorm room. And I agree, guys. This cell definitely looked like a dorm room. I made it as much looking like home as I could. The pictures that were on my wall were sent in from an app called Free Prints, and I'll show you guys some of those pictures here in a second. Also, guys, I used the pillowcase for my bedding to use as a tablecloth for my desk. So yeah, this is literally exactly what my cell looks like, guys. So this is the pillowcase from my exact bedding that I showed you guys before. So that picture, guys, is 1000% accurate. Also, here are some of the actual pictures that I had hanging up on my wall. My Chanel. These were pictures sent in via email. And here are some of the pictures. Here are some of the pictures that I actually had on my wall next to my bed. Let me show you guys. Here's some of my pictures that I actually had on my wall. This is me and my cousin Damo. Me and my homegirl Aji. This is my homegirl Ty. This is, oh, can you guys see this? Okay, I hope so. So this is my best friends. It's my cousin Jeremiah. And this was just a piece of artwork. This is my God baby that I had up there. Piece of artwork that I made. I had different quotes like this. You may shoot me with your words. You may cut me with your eyes. You may kill me with your hatefulness, but still like air I rise. I am no longer accepting things I cannot change. I am changing the things I cannot accept. These are my parents, guys. My mom, me and my mommy. Me, my best friend, and my goddaughter. My baby, Chanel. This is me and my dude that passed away some years ago. R.I.P. Bag Life Cali. Me and my brother Bear. This is my friend Utopia and the black activist that actually came to visit me in prison. Yeah. This AI room creation of my room is so accurate. I even sent it to some girls that actually seen my cell that I was in prison with. Katie, Sonia, and Regina. I sent it to all of them to verify, and Alexis. I sent it to them for their opinion if it looked just like my cell or not. And let me insert some screenshots right here, and right here of them agreeing how similar this image looked to my actual cell. Literally not a hair out of place in this image, guys. This is exactly how my cell looked. So now you guys have a better idea of what my cell looked like. You guys can kind of set the scene for when I said, you know, we'd chill in my room. So my cell was the kick it spot. Like, we'd always, literally down the line for the rest of the stay that I was in there, me and all my girls would literally grab our lunch, grab our dinner, and come back up to my cell every time. And it's funny because my cell was the smallest out of all of our cells. Regina had the biggest, Sonia had the second biggest. For the most part, guys, I had the smallest cell, but my cell was a vibe. Like you seen, I had the radio, the CDs. My cell was a vibe. So we spend the most time in my cell, always in my cell. Fast forward a little bit, a lot of nights, guys, I would just be looking out that window, looking at the city lights, and just like seeing planes fly by and just being like, man, I can't believe I'm confined in this one room. Like, when I would look out the window, I would feel so free, like feel so not caged in. And then I turn around and realize I can't leave out the room. So that was crazy experience, crazy part of the experience. Like, so after I got done unpacking everything, I finally was able to lay down. And as I was laying down that night, guys, I was just sitting in the dark room. Nothing but the light from the TV is shining the room, and I was just looking around the room like, I can't believe this is my life right now. Like, can't believe this is happening to me right now. I was like, man, like, this is, I don't know how long I'm gonna be in here, but at least I know this is my final cell until the process starts of me leaving. So I went to sleep, guys. The next morning comes, and it's like 8 a.m. when they unlock us. So I want to say before they actually unlocked us, I was still sleeping. So I was awoken to my door being unlocked, but I was still kind of foggy waking up, right? And here comes Regina rushing into my room, right? So Regina rushes into my room, and she's like, Lala. And I'm just like, what's up, girl? What's up, Regina? So I start to get dressed and like put my clothes on or whatever, and then we run over to Sonia's room. So we go to Sonia's room, and let me mention, guys, when they first moved us to the wing the night before, they told me and Sonia that there were 2 cells that either one of us were going to be able to go into and for us to pick. So we didn't even see what the cells looked like on the inside before we picked rooms. So I had the choice to pick the room that Sonia chose or the room that I chose. But again, the room doors weren't open. I just seen the area from the outside that they were in. So I ended up picking the room that I chose from the outside before I went inside to see the sale. And so when we went over to Sonia's sale to go see Sonia, you know, she opened her door like, hey, like, oh my gosh, like, what's up, y'all? Like, we up here, like, together. I know y'all not we here. No, that's not what I'm saying. Like, oh, like, no. I'm saying, like we have each other to support each other through this right now. So, like, it's just good that we're all up here on this landing. So, we went to Sonia's room, y'all. And when I tell you, I was like, bro, how did I pick wrong? Now, but I was happy for my girl, but she had a bigger room for sure. So we walk into Sonia's room, and Sonia's room is basically my room, but stretched out. And what I really liked about her room was her bed was very far away from her toilet. So I was a little jelly. I'm like, oh, like, you feel me? Like, I had a choice to pick this room and I did it. But again, I was happy for her because, you know, that's my girl. So I was happy at least if I didn't have it, she had it. So, because I was going to be in there anyway. Yeah. So then Regina goes to tell us, oh, you guys have to see my room. You guys have to see my cell, guys. You guys have to see my cell. You guys have to see my cell. And then we're just like, okay, like, there can't be too many different layouts in this prison. Like, I already see Sonia got a bigger room. So, like, you know, how much crazier can it get? Y'all not gonna believe me. When I tell you, Regina took us into her room, you guys, she had a full-blown ensuite in her room. What do I mean by that? You walk into her cell, guys, she had a full-size room. Her bed is all the way in the right corner. She had a full space before there's a desk right there. The window is in between her bed and desk. And I'm saying, like, I'm 6'1". I can lay down flat, long-wise in the space between her bed and her desk. Like, so much space in her room, right? Oh no, but it doesn't end there, right? So if you open her cell door and you walk in her room and you look straight, you're seeing her room, right? You look to the left, she has like a mini hallway that has a closet area right here. And then you look to the right, there's a doorway to a private bathroom. Do you hear me? She basically had a studio apartment for a cell. Y'all, like, the space to the left could have fit like 3 more beds. The bathroom was even a good size, y'all. Like, how, what? She had a sink in there. She had like, how do we get this in the cell? I want to say maybe that was like a handicap cell or something. It was a corner cell. So she got the biggest cell. And I was over here all jelly, like, girl, how did you get this? Like, but I mean, hey, I'm not planning to be there for too long. So honestly, I didn't give a damn for real. But for the stay, for the time being that we were there, I was like, wow, I would have loved to have that, but it is what it is. So now we're on the next morning. Okay, so we had ended up showering that morning or whatever. So we all 3 of us, me, Sonia, and Regina, we had hit the shower rooms, and my tall self, I could see everybody over the stalls. But to be fair, a few girls could also see over the stalls because the stalls were very short. So we just, all 3 of us are in the stalls next to each other, just talking. And once we were out, you know, we went back into the room, got our, you know, change of clothes or whatever. So because we did not have any classes, did we have classes yet? I don't think so. I don't think we had classes yet still. I could be wrong, but that part's neither here nor there at the moment. So we ended up getting locked back in our cells because we didn't have movement in the morning. We didn't have classes to go to or anything. So then when fresh air came around, we were getting unlocked for fresh air. And I want to say there's like a 10-minute interval of us being unlocked until they actually take us outside. So in that 10-minute interval, Regina was like introducing me and Sonia to like some of the prisoners on that landing who she had met and was cool with or whatever. So we're meeting different prisoners and stuff like that Regina has been talking to on her landing. And so everybody seems cool. Everybody's asking us questions and just like, you know, Q&A, new girls on the landing type vibe. So, you know, we're talking to everybody. Everybody seems cool. So we ended up getting now unlocked to go outside for fresh air. So we get unlocked, we go outside for fresh air, and now Lala from Miami, Bianca, and a couple of the other girls who had been in Sea Wing for a minute, when we were getting unlocked and going downstairs, they saw us come out from their area because they were a floor above us. So when we were getting let out, we came out a little bit before them. So they were like, oh my gosh, like y'all got moved over? Y'all got moved over? We was like, yeah. They were like, what floor are you on? So we told them the floor we was on, and they were just like, oh my gosh, like what? Like that's a sub, that's a sub. Like finally, like we've been waiting for y'all to get moved over here. And then like some of the other girls that we had met, some of them that were actually from the UK that we met that were there, they were like, oh man, like we wish that you guys would have got moved on our wing. There's nobody over here on our wing. Like North Wing always gets everybody. Like that's not fair, whatever. So a lot of that back and forth, just catching up with everybody was going on. So I do want to introduce the girls that I'm saying that are from the UK, because they are going to be big parts of this story. And there's a few different girls that I met there that are going to be big parts of this story. And I'm not going to name them all right now, but we're going to introduce a few characters right now. So one girl, she's a taller girl with these braids on the thicker side or whatever. Her name is Faith. Just remember that, Faith. That'll come back around later. Her name is Faith. She was there for, I want to say, maybe 7 years. She had already been there for like maybe 4 or 5. She had a couple more years to do. She was there for a reason that we won't disclose. Wrong place, wrong time, wrong people and things. But Faith, remember her. And then there was also a girl named, what was her name? Sasha. Sasha was pretty brown skinned girl. And by the way, guys, I'm only going into depth about people, how they look, race, size, shape, so you guys can literally feel like you're there. This is not at all trying to be like put stigmas or whatever on anybody. I remember I seen someone say something like, I believe it was like, how am I contributing white to innocentness or something, and I didn't even say anything like that. I was more so saying like, talking about Kayla, how I said she was mixed with white and black, but you would just think she was just an innocent girl, just in general, aside from her race. So I do want to throw that in there, y'all. When I'm describing people, I just want you guys to get a good vision of what they look like. Yes, so Sasha was, again, pretty brown skinned girl, kind of short, chunky cheeks. Yeah, and that was Sasha. She's gonna come back up again later as well. So we're downstairs now for our first fresh air being in Sea Wing, and we really think at this point who we with wise. So it's me, Sonia, and we're not all in Sea Wing. Everybody going by the name. Most of us are in Sea Wing, but again, we still had, well, I guess you could say we were all in Sea Wing because it was just Alexis that was over still in, Alexis was still over in A Wing, and then you had Sana and India, the ones who were bringing me breakfast, they're over in D Wing, the wing that doesn't get locked up. So during our fresh air, we're mingling with me, Regina, Sonia, Alexis, Lala from Miami, Bianca, Sasha, Faith, Sana, and India. And there were a couple other characters that were there as well that I will mention down the road. But these are the ones that matter right now. So our group is thick right now. We missing our girl Sativa, and we're missing our girl Nisha, but we're happy for them because they left on their way home. And so remember, that's all we knew at that point was that they left to go home. We didn't even know whether or not they went, or actually we did know that Nisha went to the immigration center. We didn't know about Sativa, if she went to the immigration center or not, because we didn't get to see her before she left. So we were just happy for our girls to about to be closer to being home. So with the girls that I just named, guys, every day that we'd have fresh air, we'd always come outside and go to the same table, sit at the same table, chop it up. Oh, I forgot to mention Cam. So Cam was the transgender female to male that Regina was dealing with. And so sidebar, rewind to before I moved to C Wing. Right before I moved to C Wing, when I told you that Regina had already moved to C Wing, and they closed down the C Wing walking area over the weekends. So I want to say it was like a Friday. I had seen Regina, her and Cam were still kind of shy around each other, whatever. So then the weekend came and it went, and then so Monday had rolled back around again, and then when we walked over to C Wing area, we had seen Cam and Regina coming out holding hands, and we like, hold on, we done missed the whole chapter. Like, what's going on here? We done missed the whole chapter. So that was their relationship before I moved to C Wing. So at this point, when I mentioned all the girls that we're sitting with, Regina would have Cam with her as well. Her and Cam would always walk off and do their own thing, or sometimes they sit at a different table by themselves and, you know, cupcake, whatever. Regina be sitting on his lap, they be kissing, they be doing all types of stuff. And I ain't gonna lie, Regina, if you watching this with your family, I advise you to tell them to turn this off right now. I'll wait. Okay, that's all the time you get. My girl Regina is so funny. Like, mind you, I told y'all she was 18 years old. She turned 19 in prison, actually. Her birthday is, I want to say December, I think her birthday is Christmas, December 25th. So she ended up turning 19 in prison. Because we all had, like, all the girls that were there from the States and Canada that were there for the same reason, we all ended up getting there around the same time. So she ended up turning 19 in there, and for her young, so she was young and turned. She told me a story down the line about how, like, when we had first moved over to C Wing and we were sitting at the table all together talking, this girl had Cam's hand in her pants, and nobody knew. Nobody knew. You just sitting up here having a whole conversation with us and nobody knew. You're funny, bro. You're funny. All right, guys. Anyways, so after our fresh air outside, that lasted for 30 minutes to an hour, depending whether it was a weekend or weekday. Hours on a weekend, or I think it was opposite. Oh no, it was hours on the weekends and 30 minutes during the weekdays, or opposite, I forget. But basically after our fresh air, we go back in upstairs to our cells, and then we're not locked up yet. We're walking around mingling because we're about to have lunch. So it's like about 11:45 or 11:40 around this time, because we go down for lunch at 11:45. So we go back in from fresh air, I want to say at like 11:30. So we're upstairs, we're mingling, everybody's talking to everybody, everybody's getting to know everybody, whatever. So then they finally have us like go downstairs for lunch. So they would have each floor go down one at a time. So first floor would go down, get their lunch. They were already on the same level as the lunch line. The lunch line was on the first floor. So then the second floor would go down, get their lunch, come back up. And then the third floor would go get their lunch and come back up. Remember that, guys, that's gonna come up a few as well. So we ended up finally being able to go down to get our lunch, and then we're standing in the lunch line, and you can literally see the other wing from the lunch line. So we would see like a couple of the girls that we knew that were over there, and we'd be like, hey y'all, like whatever. And that's kind of like how the lunch process and the fresh air process went from every day on. That's how it went. The only things that changed moving forward was obviously the classes that I was now in. They also had a nail salon there, but I never got to see it. Like I told you guys, I worked in the nail salon at the last prison. I tried to get in the one here, but apparently the person who was over the nail salon there was in prison. Yeah, okay, or in jail, whatever you want to call it. So let's touch back on when I was saying how Chloe, the girl who I thought was kind of cute, had her come into my room playing games or whatever. So she had actually ended up moving upstairs, and it was a couple of days before she was supposed to move. We got word that she was about to move, and we were like, oh man, like, you know, that sucks, like whatever. But she one day was actually like really in her feelings, didn't come out of her room, and we were wondering why. And the reason why was because she was supposed to move days prior and they didn't move her, so she was really upset about that. Needless to say, she actually ended up moving, and good for her. So she ended up moving upstairs, so no more Chloe for now. So now I want to tell you guys about something that happened on day 4, being in this new wing in my new cell. So day 4, guys, I'm pretty acquainted with all of the prisoners by now. I'm gonna get more acquainted with the rest of them in the next couple of days, but for now I'm pretty acquainted with everyone knows my name, and that was just that, right? So to the left of me, or let me be more specific, when you walk into my cell door, to the right of me, I had my neighboring cellie, I guess you can say. Her name was Katie. We're gonna introduce her here in a second. But I wanna talk about the person that was to the left of me. So the person to the left of me, I don't remember her name. We can call her Judith for all I care. So let's call her Judith. So the person to the left of me, she was like a heavy set white lady, glasses, dark black hair. She actually had a girlfriend on the wing. That's neither here nor there. I had a funny little story time about that later down the line. But anyways, so Judith, she made some comments to me like, oh, you're so pretty. Oh, do you want my color pencils? Like, I see you draw. Do you want my color pencils? And I was like, sure. So I ended up taking her color pencils. She was always really nice and what have you. So me and Judith shared a wall. The wall where my sink was on, me and Judith shared. The wall that my bed was on, me and Katie shared that wall. So let's talk about the wall that me and Judith shared. So I was kind of getting to know the rules of the prison. There were only so many, but the rest were common sense. There were only so many rules that I didn't think was a rule. So obviously, common sense, you can't be making noise after a certain time, right? I believe it was 10 o'clock p.m. was the time for cutoff where you can't make any noise, right? So let's rewind a little bit. For the first week that I was there, I'd always be blasting my radio during the day and stuff like that, and everybody would love it. They come by, be like, oh, I love your music, whatever have you, right? And even Judith one day came to me and was like, I was on the phone the other night and I was hearing you sing to the music, and girl, you could sing. So I'm like, oh, Judith's cool, she's sweet, right? So on day 4, it had to be like maybe 10 p.m. and our last lockup is at 7 something. I can't remember, but it's at 7 something is our last lockup. So we're locked in for the rest of the night until the morning. So I'm up, of course, watching TV, because back home it'd really be like 2 p.m. or like 1 p.m. or something, right? So I'm up, I'm watching TV, and then, you know, sometimes I make my snacks throughout the night. I would make PB&Js, and I would make like noodles and stuff like that. And I got peanut butter and jelly off of commissary, like the big jars of peanut butter and jelly, and then we would get our bread during lunch, and that was actually a fiasco that I'll tell you about here in a second. So that night I was snacking on some chips, PB&Js, and some of my shows were coming on, so I was about to make me some noodles. So like I mentioned before, we had these hot water kettles in our cells that I would plug behind my TV. And also what was not in that image that I showed you of my prison cell was our little house phone that we had. We had a house phone that was plugged into the wall that would sit on right under my TV on my TV stand. So that was the only outlet we had, was by the TV. So I would use that to obviously boil my water, and the phone was there too. So this particular night on day 4, like I said, well acquainted with all the prisoners, so they all know my name. So I make my noodles, you know, I'm watching my show, you know, and I had never had any problems thus far at this prison. So I go to wash my bowl out like I have been doing for the last 4 days. You know, we have a little thing of dish soap that we get from the officer's office during the day. We can fill up our cup of dish soap whenever we please. So I'm washing my dishes out in the sink, you know, and the sink is one of those things where you press the button and the water runs for maybe like 10 to 15 seconds and then it shuts off. So you can only imagine it would take a couple of presses for me to finish washing my dishes. So the walls are very thin. Like I can literally hear someone in the next room sneeze, cough, their phone calls. I can hear it all. So neither here nor there though, because you know, we're prisoners. We didn't really care about anybody's noise. If they were on the phone with someone, we didn't really care about that. Like that was neither here nor there. So I just happened to be washing out my dish this night, right? And then I just hear from Judith's room, I just hear, shut the fuck up, right? And then I'm listening, I'm like, oh shit, she's over here going through it. So I'm scrubbing my dishes still. I'm like, ooh, I don't know what she got going on. She must be talking to her baby daddy or something. She got it going on over there. Washing my dishes. I press it again to rinse the soap off, of the bowl, right? Then I just hear boom, 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 boom on my wall. She's banging on my wall. She's like, for Jesus, she's like, for fuck's sake, shut up. I said, I know you're not talking to me. She was like, I'm talking to you, lad. I'm talking to you. Shut the fuck up. How much time do you need to use your sink? Shut the fuck up. And I'm just like, bitch, as many times as I need to clean my dishes. Who the fuck are you talking to? And then she's like, I'm fucking talking to you. Shut the fuck up. And I was like, bitch, you don't know me. You might want to watch your fucking mouth when you're talking to me, bitch. I was like, and then I basically just cussed her down. I cussed her out. I cussed her smooth out. I was like, this is prison, bitch. Like, shut the fuck up. Like, I can't help that these fucking walls are thin, bitch. Like, mind your business. Like, fuck. And I cussed her out hard. I'm from the Bay. I don't play like that. Okay? So I cussed her out so fucking bad. The night shift officer ends up coming over, and remember, his office is in the corner of our hallway of rooms. So the night shift officer, he hears it, and I can hear him through my cell door talking about some, hey, you guys, cut it out. So he comes to my room first because I was really the one popping it around that time. So he comes to my cell door and he opens my flap and he's like, no. He's like, stop that. What's going on? And as Judith is trying to explain to him through her door what's going on, he's asking, I believe he heard her out for a second before he had asked me what was going on. So she was basically saying like, oh, she's being so loud and it's late. She's being loud, whatever. So he comes over to my door and he's like, yeah, there is a thing about noise after a certain time. She's right. You can't be loud after a certain time. I said, sir, all I'm doing is washing my dishes in the sink. She's over here beating on my wall, yelling at me because I'm washing my dishes in the sink. I said, so I can't use my sink after 10 o'clock? He said, wait. That's what this is about? I said, sir, yes. I said, literally, all I did was go to my sink to wash my dishes, and she started beating on the wall, yelling at me about using my sink. And he's like, wait. Okay, no. You can use your sink whatever time you want to use your sink. I'm thinking that she's talking about something else. This is over you using your sink? And I said, sir, yes, that's what I'm tripping off of. That's what I'm talking about. So he then goes to her room or in front of her cell door.
Well, talk to yourself
says,
then,
ma'am,
you stupid twat.
because she's still talking. And he's like, ma'am. She's allowed to use her sink whenever she wants to use her sink. You can't be complaining and yelling at her because she's using her sink. And now she starts to cuss him out. She's like, oh, well, you're not gonna, da. And then he's like, ma'am, you're gonna talk to me with respect, like I'm talking to you with respect. And she kept cutting him off. And then he's like, ma'am, talk to me with respect. I'm talking with you with respect. She's like, I don't give a fuck. That's stupid. And then he literally says to her, oh my gosh, he goes, He goes, all right. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh, I could not believe it. I was actually like, it's kind of one of those moments, low key, right? Where you're like, she started all this shit and she did all this shit so that she kind of got what came to her. But at the same time, I was like, dang, like, you ain't had to say that to her. Like, you're a male officer. Like, you ain't had to get at her like that. But damn, well, that ended that. But I mean, I guess, let's be real though. In the moment, since I was arguing with her, I kind of felt vindicated. Like, you feel me? Like, I thought I was tripping, or I thought, like, you feel me? Like, am I tripping? Am I in the wrong? And he was over here, start talking to her and was like, oh yeah, you is a stupid cunt. Like, move around, right? So I felt a little vindicated, but also I was just like, oh fuck, damn. So then the next morning, right? The next morning came, and I do need to tell you guys how I met Katie, but because I did forget to mention how I met Katie. But let's just say the next morning came, and then Katie, who's my next door neighbor, on the wall of my bedside, she came over to me and she was like, yo, was that you last night? Like, cutting up and arguing with Judith? And I was like, yeah, like, she was trying to play me because I was using my sink. She was like, you go ahead, girl, because nobody in this landing really gets along with her, because she's always like coming at somebody sideways. So you go, girl, you go, girl. And I was like, man, okay. I'm like, I thought I was tripping because, like, why are you, what? Like, ma'am, I'm using my sink. These walls are hella thin. You could hear the pipes, the water running through the pipes. I can't help that, right? So yeah, to say the least. So that was a crazy night experience, y'all. So let me also tell you, right, after everybody was coming up to me, was like, oh my gosh, was that you? Was that you? And then, I'm telling them, like, yeah, like, about what happened or whatever. Y'all, tell me why right before we get unlocked, or right after we got unlocked that day, that next morning, for fresh air to go outside, I'm in my room getting ready for fresh air, talking with Regina about what happened last night, because she heard it as well from a cell or two down. Because remember, Judith is on, if I'm sitting in my bed, Judith is on my sink wall, and then Regina is in the next cell over from Judith. So she heard us arguing, and she was like, so we're just talking about it, right? So as you guys remember from the diagram, you see the distance from the door to my window. Tell me why I'm standing in front of my toilet by the window. And this girl, Judith, took it upon herself to open my cell door and walk all the way over into my cell by my window where I was, arms open for a hug, talking about I'm so sorry. That was my fault for last night. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. I said, I don't want, you can keep your sorries. I don't want to hear about none of that. I'm not cool with you right now. I don't want to hear none of that. And then she was like, all right, well then fuck it. All right, well then fuck it. And then I said, yeah, well fuck it then. Fuck, get out my room. And then she got her ass out my room. Went back to her room, and that was that. But yeah, y'all, like, it was some interesting characters in there, and y'all not finna fucking play with me is what y'all not finna do. Like, bitch, you started it. Don't come up to me. I get it. You started it. And apology would have been from your behalf, but it was just too fresh. I'm a Scorpio, y'all, and I be trying to, like, let stuff pass quick, but it was too fresh. It just happened, bro. Get out my face. I don't want to talk to you. That was that. So let me rewind maybe like a day. Let me rewind a day or two. Maybe this is the incident that happened on like day 5. And then that morning was day 6, because I want to say it was day 4 when I met Katie. Katie was my neighbor and we shared the wall on my bed wall. So the bed wall, me and Katie shared, okay? So this is how I met Katie. And Katie was, I would describe Katie as medium height, kind of fit build. She was a white girl, long, pretty blonde hair. She had the 2 lighter blonde skunk stripes in the front, and I would consider her like a STEM. Meaning like you can tell she likes girls, but she doesn't look like a hard stud or nothing. She looks like just herself. She looks like she's just a regular herself type of girl. But she was pretty good looking. I'm not gonna lie, she was pretty good looking though, right? So, but that was just that, right? So there was a day that me and Sonia and Regina was in my room listening to my radio, bumping music, and I'm actually gonna show you guys my CD collection real quick that I had in prison. Be right back. So let me show you guys my CD collection that I had. So I was bumping E40, I was bumping No Ceilings by Lil Wayne, I was bumping her album, I was bumping Janae Aiko, I was bumping, this is an audio book, but I ended up reading the book. This is another Her album. I love Her. I got Drake Views. I got Drake Take Care. I had Travis Scott. And then I also have in there, I have R&B mix. So I had like a 3-pack of like just different R&B songs to listen to, and that was my my music that I was listening to while I was in there. So there just happened to be this day on the 4th day that I was there, because starting day 1 up till the whole time that I was there, but let's just go up to day 4. Starting day 1 up to day 4, I'd always bump my music. As soon as we were unlocked, I would turn up my radio, bump my music. So there was just this one particular day that I was bumping my music. Sonia and Regina were in my room. We were just listening to music. And then I seen Katie, and she was outside of her cell door, which is right next door to my cell door. So I would just see like her leg and like her shoulder poking out from my door view, right? And so as I'm listening to music, I can just kind of see her moving. So I look over and she's reciting all of my music lyric by lyric. I'm talking about, I'm playing Drake, she's reciting it. I'm playing Summer Walker, she's reciting it. I'm playing Lil Wayne, she's reciting the music. So I invited her in because like she's a vibe. Like I peeped her listening to my music from the outside. So I looked and I was like, okay girl, I see you, you know all my music. She was like, yeah. She started laughing. She's like, yeah. I was like, come in. So then she had ended up coming into my cell and she was just like, oh yeah, like you have really good music. And she's from the UK. So she has the accent. She's like, oh yeah, like I really just love your music and like it's just really great. And I was just like, I'm surprised you know this music. I mean, like, I'm not trying to be like that, but like she's from the UK, white girl from the UK, like, let's be real. Like I just didn't expect for her to know my music, like how she knew my music. So I was vibing with it. So me, Regina, and Sonia, we start talking to Katie, getting to know her. Oh my gosh. Her personality, top tier. Like she's literally just like, I feel like some people, when they first meet people, they may kind of be in a shell until like they know that person, until they break out of that shell. Katie was unapologetically herself. Like, so let me pause you guys right there and just rewind and tell you guys something quick that's gonna add to this part right here. So let's rewind to day 3, because we're on day 5 right now is when we met Katie. So let's rewind to day 3. This is also day 4 is when the stuff happened with Judith, right? So day 3 of being in this new cell, right? Alexis, you guys remember Alexis, the one who came in last in the induction wing in A wing? She came in last. She's the one who's from Indianapolis, cute Southern Belle girl. Yeah, so she had ended up moving over to our wing as well. So when me and Regina and Sonia more specifically, because Regina didn't meet Alexis yet because she had already moved wings. So Alexis that ended up getting moved over to our wing, and her room was at the end of the hall in me and Regina's hallway. So Alexis was there now, and her room was the same as mine except flipped. And we were just really excited to see her. Of course, like now we got another member on the floor. Everything was lit. So now Alexis, Sonia, Regina, and me are on that floor. And of course we're meeting people like Katie. So we're all in my room listening to music, and we invite Katie in. And so now Alexis is here because this is day 5. She came on day 3. So after meeting and talking with Katie, Alexis came into my room because she wasn't in the room at the time. So she had ended up coming into my room, and she had ended up meeting Katie and what have you. So she had asked, now this goes to talk about Katie's personality. So she had asked Katie, mind you, Katie had already told us how long she had left, and I believe it was like a couple of months left to go, right? So here comes Alexis in the room meeting Katie. So this is Katie's first interaction with Alexis, and this is, like I said again, to go towards Katie's personality. Alexis had asked Katie, oh, how long do you have in here? How long do you have left? Katie's like, oh, just 10 years. And then Alexis, she started coughing on her food. She's like, what? 10 years? What the fuck? And then Katie's like, no, I'm just kidding. And so it's just funny. Like, Katie had such like a great personality in that sense. Like, she could joke around and just have conversation with just anybody, it seemed like. So we laughed about it. We was like, no, she's just kidding. Like, she only has this much time left or whatever. So it was just funny. We laughed about it, whatever. And by the way, for context, Regina had just turned 19. I was 26 at the time. Alexis was 30. Oh, y'all, I'm sorry. I'm not gonna get y'all ages right. I'm just gonna throw that out there. But Alexis was like 34, 35, and she had a 10-year-old baby girl back home. And Sonia is 35, 36. She looked like she like 22 though, for real. And Katie, like I said, was like 29, 30, I think. I don't think she was 30 though. I think she was like 28, 29. I think she was 29. So yeah, we welcomed Katie in the room. We was vibing out. We was laughing, joking. And from there, me, Katie, and the girls' relationship started to grow. So now, you know, every time we would see Katie, we would say, hey, Katie, like, what's up, Katie? Like, and Katie was just super cool. So over time, I'd say, as a matter of fact, a couple of days later after meeting Katie, we realized how sweet and generous she was. Like, she was just very generous and very sweet. So Katie had asked us if we wanted any vape oils. And vape oils were kind of hard to come by because we'd order our commissary, let's say on Sunday, and we wouldn't receive our commissary until the next Sunday. So we can only order so many vape oils at a time, and people were just running out before commissary came back around. So she was asking us if we wanted vape oils. I didn't need any because I already had a bunch, but some of the girls were like, yeah, I'll take one or whatever. And so Katie was very generous when it came to like giving us snacks. And so when it was time to come around for commissary, we would get these paper slips under our door with everything that they had to offer from commissary and the balance that we had to spend at the top. So Katie was an enhanced prisoner, so she had access to more money to spend, and she also had access to a DVD player. So like when we would go to the library, you were able to like pick movie DVDs to watch in your DVD player, and that's going to come into play a little bit in a second. So Katie would oftentimes come up to me and ask if there was anything from her sheet of commissary that she's filling out. Since she had more money to spend, she would come to me and ask if there was anything that I wanted. And I was like, wow, like this is like so nice. Like, but I was like, do I want anything? So in the very beginning, I was kind of like, oh no, it's okay. But then she kept asking. So then, I mean, like Katie's just so sweet. So she just kept asking. And so I was like, you know, I'll get a bag of fruit snacks, you know. So it started there, me just getting like a bag of fruit snacks. And then she started cussing me down, like, girl, if you don't get more stuff, like I'm not gonna spend all this money. So then I would be like, okay girl, you ain't gotta tell me thrice. So I would get like hair products, snacks, vape oils, whatever have you. Katie made sure that I was always stocked up on vape oils, I'll tell you that much. So that was actually real lit, because some girls were like begging for empties. Let me mention, so many like drug dependent prisoners on that wing, they were always coming up to people begging them for empties. And what are empties? Empties are empty vape oil pods. So let me see, hold on. All right, so this is the prison issue vape, guys, that they gave us. And this twist off vape oil will come in a pack of 4. This vape oil, as you can clearly see, is empty. So this is what they would call empty. So they, like, a lot of the prisoners there would want the empties because they would add water to it or add whatever they want to it, or they just smoke the burnt coil. Once mine got down to this, I just throw them away. So a lot of times when people were asking me for empties, I'm like, no, I don't have them. I throw mine away. And so, just to touch on it, I would start saving mine so I could give it to people or trading them for certain things, but it was just crazy. So anyways, like I said, she just made sure my stuff was just stocked up for real. So I appreciate her for that. So let's fast forward a little bit. I say maybe after the first week and a half, I say the first 2 weeks. So the first 2 weeks of being in that new wing, every day felt like 3 days because you're spending it all day with the same people. So me and Katie started getting closer. We started getting closer. And so me and Katie kind of started having like a little thing, if you know what I mean. We kind of started having a little thing. And what that looked like in prison was her coming to my cell, chatting with me, and her kind of giving me things on commissary. And then I ended up making her a drawing, because I do draw. So I ended up making her a personal drawing based on 3 things that she told me that were her favorite things, which were like Red Bull, bowling, and family. So I ended up drawing her a picture of like a Red Bull bowling alley with her and her family, whatever. So just, you know, as well, kind of like as a thank you for everything that she was doing for me and my friends at that point. So there came a time, right, where, again, let me preference that how I said this prison experience was like high school or middle school all over again, right? So there was this time when Regina was in my room. And I told Regina, I was like, I low-key want to give Katie a little kiss. Ah. So I was like, go tell Katie that. Because I didn't want to go tell her. It was like kind of awkward. So I was like, go tell Katie that I want to give her a kiss. And then she's like, okay, I'm going to go tell her. So she left out of my room, went next door to Katie's room. And then next thing I know, I see Regina coming back in my room. She's like, oh yeah, she said that she's super down, like da 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 da. And then you just see Katie walking into my room, and then Regina ran out of my cell, my room or whatever. So Regina ran out, and then now Katie is in my room, and I'm just like, oh, like this is so crazy, awkward, and like I was so shy. And so Katie was like, she was like, is that what you guys were talking about? That's all you had to say. I haven't had a kiss in years. Come here. And then like she like grabbed my face, and like we had a smooch or 2 or 3. And then it was just like, ah! Like after that, and then she had ended up being like, okay, bye. And then went to her room. And then I was just like, ah! And then like Regina came back in, and we were just like, you know how girls are when stuff like that happens. So it was just really cute or whatever. So like from then on, it kind of felt like me and Katie were like very flirty with each other, and we were just hanging out a lot. So we actually, okay. So now, guys, starts, I'd say 2 weeks of a sense of a routine of something. So let me kind of go into detail. So from that point on, Katie was being very attentive, like if I needed anything or whatever. So we would get called, I'd say like twice a week, we would get called to go down to the library. So of course we'd opt in to go to the library to get us out of our cell. And you know, like we were reading a lot while we were in there too. So just change out our books or whatever. So there was this day that we went down to the library, and Katie told me like basically if there was any DVDs that I wanted to watch, pick out any DVDs that I wanted to watch, because we could watch the DVDs, and I could borrow her DVD player if I wanted to, is what she said. She was like, you can borrow my DVD player if you want to, whatever. And I was like, okay, cool. So I picked out Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, and she asked me if I had ever seen Orange is the New Black, and I hadn't seen Orange is the New Black at the time. So I was like, okay, like let's watch Orange is the New Black. And she was like, okay. So we grabbed Fresh Prince of Bel-Air and Orange is the New Black. So we fast forward the next day. We had planned to watch the first season episode of Orange is the New Black during our last hour before lockup, because remember, we'd have dinner, we'd get unlocked for dinner around like 3:30, and we'd be unlocked for 15 minutes before they took us downstairs to get our dinner at 3:45. We'd go downstairs to get our dinner at 3:45.
My girls and I would grab our food from downstairs, and then we'd come back upstairs and eat in my cell.
We eat our dinner, and then we'd get locked back in at like 3:30, 3:45, and we'd be locked back in. We'd be locked in there all the way until 6:30. So once 6:30 p.m. came around, we'd be unlocked for an hour for ED. And ED was whether you wanted to go play games, take a shower, go to someone else's cell and chat, whatever have you. So at that point, we were all showered in our pajamas. So that was the hour that we were going to use to watch the first episode of Orange is the New Black. So, of course, Katie and myself invited Sonia, Regina, and Alexis into Katie's room to watch Orange is the New Black as well. So just so it wasn't like weird or nothing, like just me and Katie in her room watching TV, you know. So it was all Regina, Alexis, Sonia, me, Katie. So it was all five of us. So they would bring the chairs from their room into Katie's room, and they'd sit in the chairs, and then me and Katie would be sitting in Katie's bed, and we'd be watching the show. So I'd say day one of me and Katie and the girls watching Orange is the New Black, Katie's sitting on one side of the bed, I'm sitting on the other. Day two, Katie's sitting on the middle of the bed, I'm sitting in the middle of the bed, and we're kind of leaning on each other. Day three, I'm laying kind of like this in her bed, Katie's kind of laying down in her bed, and we're kind of cuddling a little bit. The girls are still in here, by the way. And by day four of watching the episodes, I'd say like we were like full blown cuddling in her bed, like rubbing thighs. Occasionally we'll give each other like a little kiss or peck. And mind you, her room is dark. All you see, the only light in the room is from the TV light. And so the cell door was closed, and the officers wouldn't really come bother us at all during that time. It's funny because we actually did like a couple test drills in case the officers came in. So it would be like one of the girls would like randomly turn on the lights, and then like we like do what we would do if a guard were to come. So I'd like act like I'm faced this way, Katie would act like she's looking that way, the girls would be like watching the show. So it'd be funny, like we were prepared for if anybody came in. So that was kind of like the dynamic between me and Katie for a while. And so I do kind of I want to mention this girl now? Let me see. Yes, I'll mention this girl now because she's not going to come into the story until a little bit down the line, but we'll just mention her now because this is the first time that I ended up seeing this girl that I'm about to bring up. So one of the times that we went down to the library to get some new movies, new books, it was a prisoner that worked at the library. Her name was Renisha. She's gonna be a big part of this story, guys. So remember the girl that works at the library named Renisha. She was I can't even describe her race. She looked like she was like Hawaiian, maybe even this is so tough. Because I believe she told me her ethnicity, like Egyptian or something, Egyptian, Hawaiian, something along those lines, guys. I'm sorry, I can't remember. I'll show you guys a picture of her later because I have one. But Renisha. So I just remember vaguely us going into the library one day, checking out books, and Renisha telling Katie, oh, people say that we sound alike. People say, and Katie's like, what, really? And she's like, yeah. I just remember that small encounter of Renisha being in that library. All right, guys. So that was that. So now I want to tell you guys about a time within that first week where I realized that the girls that I did choose to surround myself were the right ones. So there was this day when they had unlocked us in the morning, and we did not have keys to our room. Regina had a key to her room, but me and Sonia, we didn't have keys to ourselves. So we would have to be really careful about, you know, closing our doors and making sure that anything worth value was in our safe, right? So there was this one particular day, I believe it was like one of the first days of the week that I was transferred over to the cell. Because Sonia had came over to my cell, and I had told her like, hey, I'm about to get in the shower, and she was like, oh girl, I'm gonna watch guard of your room, because I know we don't have keys and stuff like that, so I'm gonna watch your room for you while you're in the shower. And I was like, okay, perfect, thank you so much, I appreciate that. So I went into the shower and took my shower. But as I was in the shower, I can literally hear Sonia arguing with somebody. And I'm just like, oh shit, let me hurry up and get out of the shower. Like, what's going on? So I hurry up, you know, rinse off my body and stuff like that, wrap my towel around me, grab my stuff, and then I open the shower room door, and I'm walking out, and I look to the right because that's where my cell is, and then I see this white girl walking away from my room door. So then I go to my cell, and I walk in my cell, and Sonia's in there, and I'm just like, what happened? What was that? Were y'all arguing? She was like, girl, yes, this girl, I wasn't in your cell right now. I was like standing next to your cell, and this girl tried to walk into your cell. And I said, what? She was like, girl, yes. I had to tell her like, what are you doing? And the girl was like, oh, blah, 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 whatever she said. And then Sonia was like, there's nothing in there for you. You don't need to be in front of her room door or trying to open her room door, period. And as she should, that's my girl. And so the girl was like, okay, whatever, and walked on about her business. So shout out Sonia, because what the fuck was that girl trying to do in my room, in my cell? Like, what were you doing, right? So I ended up going, like I said, to the cell, and Sonia told me all that. So I ended up getting dressed. No sooner than I finished getting dressed and was about to walk back out my cell, I see the girl that was trying to walk into my room. And so she comes up to me and she's like, oh, my bad, girl. I was just trying to see if your cell was unlocked. What? Wait, come again. What? You were trying to see if my cell was unlocked? Like, not trying to see if my cell was locked, trying to check out for me to make sure my cell was locked, but you were trying to see if my cell was unlocked? Huh? Like, make that make sense. She literally, out of her mouth, said to me, oh, girl, I was trying to see if your cell was unlocked. My bad. No, it's nothing. I was just trying to see if your cell was unlocked. Why, though? Right? Why, though? So that was just little weird stuff like that would happen more than I'm comfortable with. Also, guys, like I mentioned, we'd get outside for our classes and fresh air and whatnot. We'd also get outside a lot for the gym and for church. So the thing though that it was with the church though, we had only ended up going to the church there once or twice, because the church was nothing like the church in the first prison. The church in the first prison felt moving, made you want to cry, felt like you were actually there and seeing. This church at this prison was not it. There were prisoners vaping in church. They had freaking flames on the windows of this church. People were fighting over cookies, talking in church. It was just not where it was at. So we only went one time at this prison and did not go again. But when we started going to the gym though, we were able to go to the gym pretty much every day if the gym wasn't full. So sometimes when they call for gym, we say yes. We'd have to run down to the gym to get more up in the line, because there was a line to go into the gym, and we'd have to literally, I'm gonna insert a picture here of the gym area, but the people in this picture that I'm inserting, it wouldn't be this many people. It would be probably half the amount of people that you're about to see in this picture. But yeah, they'd be lined up for the gym, and once the gym got to, I want to say 18 to 20 people, they cut it off and sent everybody back to the cell. So no more gym, cut off, they would send you back to your cell. So we'd run down to the gym to make sure that we would like get there in enough time. Sometimes we would get turned away. Sometimes we'd get access to the gym. Most of the time though, I will say most of the time we were allowed into the gym. Let me show you guys my gym card. Cause if we forgot these gym cards, guys, there were two guys that checked us in at the gym. One name was Keith remember that because it's going to come back up later. The other guy doesn't even matter. But let me show you guys my gym pass. Sometimes if we forgot our gym pass, they were cool enough and they take our name and remember us from before and they let us in and they tell us to just bring it again next time. Sometimes they, you know, were kind of being little biatches. But anyways, this was my gym pass, guys. This was my gym pass that I would have to show them to get let into the gym. This was clipped to my ID that I showed you guys before. This was like a pop-it that they had gave us in the care package. This was a cute little flower that somebody knitted me for Mother's Day, even though I'm not a mother, but I am a pet mother. So yeah, this was the gym pass and keychain that I would carry around. All right, guys, so there's a few more things I want to tell you guys to wrap up this episode. So do you guys remember how I said that before I got into that fight with Judith, or that argument with Judith, I made like a PB&J sandwich and was about to eat some noodles. Okay, so let me tell you, during our lunch period, there would be one loaf of bread that would be on our cell floor that was like sitting in front of the officer's office. And they just put the loaf of bread there, guys. So, prisoners would go attack the bread like vultures, like dirty ass hands. They lick their fingers and grab it in this bag of bread. So we meaning me and Sonia, we had to tell the guards and the prisoners and start a new trend where either the guards have to pass out the bread, or if it was a prisoner that was trying to go in that bag to get bread, that they had to ask the officer for a glove, because what are y'all doing for real? They were not doing that or being sanitary before we had stepped up and said something, because we actually want to eat that bread. But who wants to eat a bread after some prisoner that don't, not even saying prisoner being like stereotypical, because I was a prisoner, you feel me? But I'm saying certain type of prisoners that don't clean their hands and they don't look the most sanitary, going in a bag of bread, skipping past breads to get the ones that they want. Like, that's nasty and that's not sanitary and that's not fair for everybody else that's trying to eat bread. So we got it to a point of where it was more sanitary. And so we would go get our 3-4 pieces of bread and we would take them back to our room and save them for whenever we wanted them. And so I was basically stacking up my little bread collection so I could have a PB&J every night. Y'all, I ended up, this is a part of the story for another time, but I'm just want to mention it real quick. I ended up gaining like 15 pounds while I was in there. And if y'all know me, like I said, I'm 6'1", I'm a pretty tall girl. I've been kind of sort of on a weight gain journey my whole life, for real, just trying to get some meat for real on my bones, because being tall, our weight does not show for real. So that was the most weight, that was the heaviest weight that I had ever been in my life. And I'm still kind of fluctuating between the weight that I was when I came home and the weight that I'm used to, which is 175 to 190. So when I got home, I was 190 and my goal weight had always been 200 pounds, but it was very hard to even try to get there. But yeah, so it was always a fight over this bread, y'all. So we had to step up and say something because that was just too much. Yeah, guys. So yeah, so that's what I'm going to leave you guys with for episode 10 of how I went to prison for the first time of my life out the country, guys. This experience only gets crazier. So I hope you guys are still tuned in and tapped in, because I'm telling you guys, it's about to get juicy. So yeah, guys, please stay tuned to part 11, guys. We're keeping it going. We are keeping it going, guys. This might be even a 20-part series, but trust me, it's getting good. We're almost to the end, though. I will say we're almost to the end of this, but make sure you guys stay tuned for part 11 of how I went to prison for the first time ever. Thank you guys so much for watching. Make sure you subscribe and add me on all platforms at AlanaRain. Thank you so much, guys. See you in the next one. Bye.
Go trim, cut it, get it on film. 4 course meal, she ate up the drip. She wanna go